All right. Do you want to start at 10 seconds after?
Yes.
I got my water. Agua.
Boom.
Bam.
All right.
We're live.
We're live.
Hi, Becca.
Hi. Hello. Hello.
I
Are they all sweaty?
can't tell. I don't think they are.
We're just
I was
checking to
raising my
see if
arms to
Ryan's armpits
stretch,
are
and it looked
sweaty.
like my armpits and my shirt was sweating, but I don't think they were. So, all right, we're good.
Somebody sponsors dry fit shirts for Ryan here. No, I'm kidding. He wouldn't wear them.
They cannot be 100% cotton.
Yeah, they cannot be.
Becca has told me that I'm too picky with my shirts. It's got to be It's got to be a double blend of something or.
I'm also picky with my shirts. They have to be free.
It's not picky at all.
How was this week? You were gone? Tell us how your
I was gone, yes. We did not chat last week because I was out of town in Raleigh, North Carolina for a work conference, which was great.
Yeah.
Typically at that conference, I work for Citrix, which is actually one of the headquarters or offices is in Raleigh. So there are a couple people that work out of that office and then met up with the rest of the team. So there was about 6 or 7 of us that got together.
Nice.
That live in different places from like Charleston and Atlanta, and then a couple more in Raleigh and 3 more in Raleigh. So yeah, that was good. And normally we like present at it, but this year we did not. So it was a little more chill. And
I didn't know normally you present at it.
I presented at it last year, or not last year, 2019 I did.
Oh.
They have like smaller sessions. So they have like keynote stage ones where they talk like for 45 minutes to the entire audience. And then they have like breakout sessions that are, more focused for 30, 45 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I presented with a coworker back in 2019. So it was Pendemonium Conference, which is Pendo is the product that we use at Citrix to help us with. It sits on top of our application that helps people.
It's a little hat.
understand like new features that are in the product or help walk them through like onboarding things when they first become a customer. So we call it like in product messaging. It's kind of
like a little safety hat.
A little safety hat. Yeah, so it's a way to just help people get more value out of what they paid for.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've been using that product for a while, so we don't really get as much out of the conference content. So it's more like networking for us and getting to see the team, because I hadn't seen. The last time I actually went out of town for work was a year ago, back in October, almost a year ago, for that same conference. So
yeah,
nice to see people in person, and
not in masks and
no masks, and it was cool because I don't know if you saw the photos, but it was very like indoor, outdoor.
Yeah, it looked really nice.
Food trucks out front. It was at the Performing Arts Center, so the like keynote was in this like I don't know if it's like a concert hall. It was basically like a theater, the performance theater, and they have breakouts in different rooms. Other than that, but yeah, it was pretty sweet. And then I took some little pots with me, and
that was fun.
I took 5 of the little like carved tester cups, and I hid them in Raleigh while I was there. So I hid like I think 2 of them around town, out and about, that other people could get, and then I hid 3 like inside the conference while I was there, and I was like tagging them on it, and they were like resharing it, and I chatted with the the social media manager, and then somebody like 2 of them were picked up by staff from like Pendo, so they weren't like attendees, but
that's still cool.
Yeah. So one girl I talked to, she found it, and she's actually a small business owner as well. I think she makes jewelry, like nice. Indian inspired jewelry, and real like colorful stuff. and she like found me after she found the cup and was like, "Thank you so much." And we chatted for a few minutes and crossed paths a couple more times, and then another person found one, and then hopefully somebody else found the other one. So
yeah,
that was a fun little experiment while I was there.
I will do those, but I'm like really fucking like I'll like I hid cups in Monroe before I left, and I found one a year later because I hid it so well. It was under the bench in the weeds.
Oh my gosh. The weeds grew so much that they were never trimmed or cut.
So funny. Yeah, no.
Did you put
It
anything
was
with it?
hidden really
You probably
well.
didn't put a business card or anything in there.
I think I did.
Oh, you did.
I think I did, but I don't think it was visible at that moment.
Yeah.
Um,
I kind of started seeing Sailing Adrift Studios. Do you remember them? They would
I think
actually
so.
go around and put like these extravagant bowls that were
Oh,
like
yeah,
carved,
yeah.
and she would say like free art, and they would have all this stuff, and she would actually like go on art drops a few times a year and actually drop them in different places around the country.
I'm probably gonna do that when I
Yeah,
go
you
to
should
different
do that.
places.
That'd be sweet.
Shitty drops. That's what we're gonna call them.
Oh yeah, there you go. So yeah, that was last week. It was kind of nice getting away from the studio, but yeah, it's mostly like fun to just be around coworkers.
Yeah.
And they had the parties and stuff. I will not turn down free drinks for nothing. Freaking pounding those drinks. Got the ciders and the rum and cokes and the
Did you
Mai
get
Tais.
drunk?
I got drunk. I threw up the last night before going to sleep. It was one of those where I was well, first I got back to the hotel and I had to like drunk pack because I was leaving the next morning.
Oh no.
So I was like, I'm not waking up and having to pack because I had to
When
get
you're
up at like
hungover.
6.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was like drunk packing everything, and then I lay down to go to sleep and the room's just spinning when my eyes shut, and I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be good.
I have I think throwing up is my defense mechanism. Like, I don't drink very often. I know everybody probably thinks I'm a fucking alcoholic, but I'm not. But when I do, I try to make it count. And so, but if I drink like a lot, my defense mechanism is to throw up. I'm like, okay, like I'll sit down and I'll be like, Becca, if you don't throw up right now, you're gonna be miserable in the morning. So I like make myself throw up almost. Like I think myself into throwing up.
Yeah, I was and then when I got up, my coworker also went to the airport with me because we both
Mm-hmm.
left about 8:30ish. And she said she was feeling terrible. I was feeling a little bit when we were driving because you're like riding passenger, and if it was rocky at all, like
Yeah.
I mean, you get that way when you're riding passenger too. I was like,
Yeah.
am I gonna get sick in this person's car on the way to the airport?
Oh my God.
Luckily, we didn't, and
Nightmare.
she said she was about to, but she didn't. Um, but yeah, got to the airport, got some Gatorade, and
Good.
I was good the next morning. I was just like tired and stuff,
Yeah,
but
for sure.
yeah. So
Oof.
that was last week, and then I got something new
Oh
yesterday.
yeah. You didn't update me, so obviously you
I didn't
meant to
post it on
not.
social either. I was gonna do that, and then I
Yeah.
forgot, or I just didn't want to spend the time doing it. So I did get a new vehicle.
Woo!
RD Ceramics is growing.
Yay!
Yeah, so we got a third vehicle. We didn't like trade one in or anything like that. So I went on Saturday. I did the whole used car shopping thing. The place I ended up getting it from was the long drive. It was like an hour and 10 minutes away. It's up in
Okay.
Xenia, Ohio. So yeah, I did that. I was out for like 6 hours on Saturday, like going to see 3 vehicles or 5 hours or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Took forever. It actually wasn't too bad. Like
Mm-hmm.
getting into it and doing all the research, and I'm like, okay, like there's only so much to do. And then like the first one was the chillest because, and that's who I ended up buying from. He was like, what are you looking for? He pulled it, I called him the day before to let him know I was coming and what I was interested in. So they like, knew what to expect or whatever. And then he was like, all right, here it is. Have a look, give me your license so you could test drive it, all that stuff. And then he was just like, okay, I come back, take my time. And then I come back in and he's like, all right, what'd you think? All that.
He was
It was
super
just very
chill
like
about it.
chill and relaxed. And he was probably in his like late 20s.
Oh, that makes sense.
So, and it was just him and his dad that did the selling there. So
nice.
It was pretty chill. And, he was just giving me all the information. I was asking about extended warranty. So he gave me all the information for that with the prices. And then I was like, I got appointments to see a couple more today. So, and obviously I drove by myself, so I'm not taking a car with me. And pretty much left it at that. And then I went to the next one. It was like a car dealership, like a Chrysler Dodge dealership. And, I was like looking at the vehicle. I actually like made the trip kind of out of my way to stop while I was in town because I wasn't going to because I already had another thing scheduled, but stopped in, and then I was just gonna drop in, like see it, get the figures. Like I wanted the car price, see if I can get any better on the price, and then get the warranty information so I could see and compare prices.
Yeah.
Of what I'm actually gonna end up paying. And they were like, all right, are you financing? Whatever. Can we talk to call the bank and start that? And I was like, I'm just here looking. I stopped here because I'm in town and I don't want to decide today. So I got to get to another appointment. I'm already late. So
you're the fucking worst, man.
And then I don't know what it is. I think, and then when you ask a question, they go back in the room and they talk to somebody for like 5 minutes. I'm like, are they doing this on purpose? Like, do they already know the answer and they're just like,
oh yeah, it's the
trying
worst
to fuck me over? Not fuck me over, but like, are they trying to just like have me waiting there even longer?
Right. Like I also had a similar experience when I was like looking for the van, and I found a used van and it was in horrible shape and they want so much money for it. And it was like, they're like, what can we do to make you buy this vehicle? Like what can we do? Like, and I was like, I'm going to need this much money for my car and an extended warranty with the vehicle, blah, blah, blah. And like, I basically was like, I'm going to have to go home, think about it. And he was like, what can I make you do to buy it right now? And I was like, nothing. I am going home.
Be like, does your dinner rely on me buying something today?
And he like called me like 3 times afterwards.
Oh my God.
And I ended up like getting my credit score financed, and I wish that I would have had them.
Like he checked your credit? Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Yeah, which is fine. Is it a soft pull or a hard pull when they do the car stuff?
I don't know.
I don't know either. It doesn't matter. But
I don't think they took my social at any of the places except for the one I ended up buying at. So
yeah, but I'm glad that you had like a laid back person. It's like, dude, if you don't fucking like sell
and
me,
they didn't call me or
buy
anything. Like the guy that I ended up getting it I mean, I looked Saturday, they're closed Sunday.
Yeah.
And I called him Monday. So like,
right.
It was pretty chill and we chatted. So, and I told him that I was like, I ended up going with you all because it had the best. It was really between that and the car salesy person, because the third one I looked at was like bare bones work vehicle, and it had the most miles on it. So I was like, I'm not going with this one. So, and I was just like, hey, I appreciated your, not pressuring me and, just give me the facts and give me the details and then kind of let me weigh my options. And it was pretty easy to make a decision. So I'll let him know that.
I like people like that at car dealerships. That's how I would be too. But also I do find, I don't know if this happened to you, but like I walked into multiple dealerships and just stood there.
Oh, really?
And was like,
But did you call ahead or anything? Did they know you were coming?
No, I didn't even know I was coming. But I just stood there like, and nobody even fucking talked to me. And like, really? I realized that I look homeless. I understand that, but like
maybe they think you're waiting on somebody.
No, I was standing there like obviously looking at them like, hello, will you please talk?
I mean, I I just figured I needed to call ahead because I wanted to be in and out of there with as little, like I want them to expect me, so they get the car pulled around, they get the Carfax pulled up, they get all the
Yeah.
details that I want so that I can ask questions and get the answers quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like most people, you don't have to call ahead and tell them what vehicle you're interested in and whatnot.
No, but it is nice when you don't call ahead to see how prepared they are as a person. Like the first place that I went that was like super salesy, I was like, I asked and he knew nothing.
Their salesiness was trying to override their like
Yeah, he knew
expertise in
nothing.
this
And I was
specific
like, you're a
vehicle.
fucking idiot. Like, gross.
Wow. Yeah, so we got that back. It was nice. I've been you already
Will you
know this,
tell everybody what you fucking got?
I got a 2014 Ford Transit Connect Titanium.
Ew.
The VIN number is blah. No. Yeah, it's nice. It's got the it's got like, I don't think it's leather. It's kind of leather, maybe like a fake leather, whatever. It's like nice seats. It's got the heated seats. It's got the like climate control in the front where like passenger and driver can have different climates.
Nice.
A little less than 100,000 miles. It's got the like tech stuff, backup camera. And then it's not like just a work van on the inside, so it does have the 3 rows of seats, and then they can go all the way down and like flat, so you can put cargo and whatnot in there. So
that's dope.
So yeah, I think it'll be a good road trip car, but
I'm
also
stoked.
I'm gonna take it this weekend to my show, and we'll see how it goes. But
It's exciting to like put everything in a new car and be like, okay, this is gonna fit better than this, and this is like switching it around and figuring out.
I think I'm basically just gonna make sure that the surface area of the floor is covered so that the things don't shift and move. Like that seems like the best idea, to make sure everything is tight left and right and front to back.
Yeah.
Instead of stacking and then leaving gaps and then things like fall over. But
yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'm gonna put any like big like storage contraptions in there to like hold everything, or
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've talked in the past, but basically I've been saving for years so that I could buy a vehicle in cash. So I paid cash for it,
which is so exciting.
I didn't want to deal with interest rates and all that stuff, and I had the money for it. So I mean, that's why I saved my money for the business for years.
Yeah. So exciting.
So yeah, that was the big happening. What about you? I know we're already quite a bit in here, but
you know what?
minutes.
Fuck it. We've been doing this like, I don't know. People are just
we
gonna
haven't
have
talked
to
for
deal.
a week, so
yeah, you guys are just gonna have to fucking deal. What was I gonna say? So this week has been kind of like, I had a show last week. I had a good week sales wise. So I did the update with the earrings and made like $700. Which isn't like a ton, but like,
what's the
your
price
goals.
Points? I don't remember the price point. I never saw what the
28 to 40.
Okay.
So I feel like my goals are kind of like shifting, and it's like, if you don't need a ton of money, you don't like a $700 at an update. I'm like, sweet.
But I feel like you took it more seriously than you have in the past with updates.
I did.
You were posting a lot.
I definitely did, because I needed that money. And then I did really good at the farmer's market on Thursday, like really good. I made like $400, $500 at the farmer's market.
Wow.
Like, this is a market that I normally make like 100 to 150. And I sold 5 mixing bowls.
Mixing bowls.
Those mixing bowls are fucking hot tickets, man. I can't make them fast enough.
That's good.
I've already made 3. No, I made like 2.5 sets more, and I think they're already sold.
Are you making them in sets, or you're selling them one off?
Well, I sell them. They're set up as sets, and you could buy them one off though.
Okay.
So made a bunch of money on the Thursday, and then I had a show on Saturday, and I made a okay amount of money. It wasn't like crazy good, but it was like probably like 400 something. I don't know. But this weekend turned out to be like, it turned out to be like $1,600, which was good for me.
For a week? Is that what you're saying? Between the update and your shows?
Yeah, let's look. So, yeah, so last week between the 11th and the 17th was 1634 just on Square. So that was nice. The show that I went to was really like small. I didn't expect a lot from it, so
Was
I
it in
wasn't.
Indianapolis?
It was outside of Indy in a smaller town. So, and it
Okay.
was like set up by, like these old school rockers. You could tell that just like art and music and like,
Oh.
and there was like a folk band with a bagpipe guy that was really fucking annoying, and and like the Lions Club set up and sold walking tacos, like it was just
Oh,
like a
walking
down home.
tacos.
It was like a down home country
Sounds so good.
type show. Um, but yeah, no, it was fine, and I met some new people, which was good, and yeah, and then I've just been kind of like making stuff. I'm kind of on a just because of the kilns are being used by like Sarah and Merritt right now because they have shows, so I'm just making every
Yeah.
day. And I have a show this weekend. Nothing's gonna get made for it, which is fine. Um, what I have is enough. And then, yeah. But today I was like so not motivated at all. And then I was talking to my buddy. And then, have you ever seen the movie Down Periscope?
I don't think so.
Well, it's on HBO Max right now, and I completely and 100% recommend watching it because it's fucking hilarious. It is so
Is it
funny.
actually a comedy?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
Kelsey Grammer's the main character. Um,
Okay. I've heard of it, but I've never seen it.
yeah, it's an actual comedy. It's like just really funny. And so I was talking to my friend and we were talking about that movie, and so then I ended up watching that movie while I was throwing, and I made some small espresso
Nice.
cups. So that's pretty much what's going on. Not too much craziness, but
Yeah. I've been glazing like crazy over here. Erica's been helping out, and then I before tonight's over, I think I'm gonna start my next kiln. So it'll be the fourth firing of the week.
nice.
Started on. I think I've pretty much been doing a firing every day because I had the two kilns. So I've been like cycling
Switching
through.
them, yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
don't. I mean, I'm just kind of overdoing it because I mean, I do have more space in the vehicle, so I can fit more. But
yeah. Well,
Rachel just got done
yeah.
sending me a bunch of stuff. But
What I figure is so I can't really use the kilns, and the Merritt was like, well, you could put a biscuit in, and I was like, what's the point? Like, if Merritt can do it fast, like if she can get her process going faster, then I'm fine with that. And like if I just get a bunch of greenware that's ready to go, and once Merritt's done next Thursday, I can just fire off like 3 bisque kilns in a row. Then by the time I get back, because I'm going to Colorado on the 1st, by the time I get back, I can just glaze the shit out of everything, you
yeah,
know?
it seems like you all almost have to schedule out your kiln sharing response.
They do. So what happens is that they schedule it out since theirs are more important, and then I just kind of like move around them essentially because I always have stuff,
Why
you
are
know?
those more important?
Because they are procrastinators and they um wait
Oh, so
until
they
like yeah,
need
they
it like
yeah,
in this
they
short period of time.
I'm not going to no, they're not procrastinators. But they do have a lot of like carving and stuff, and they do tend to like wait and like fire right before they have an important show. You
Oh,
know,
okay.
like this is the Michiana Pottery Tour. Sarah's going to be
Right.
there,
That's a big
and so
one, yeah.
she's like firing right now so that she can get done by the time that she goes up there, which makes total sense. I do that too, but I also just fire all the time. Like I can always have something in the kiln.
Right.
So it's not like
It
important for me
yeah. Do they
to
fire at least the same schedules? So like
they
they
have
could
a
they could co-load a kiln?
they can. Yeah.
Okay. Because I know they
But
both have like intricate carved things, so they probably don't create
yeah.
the quantity that you do, but
Yeah.
they still need to
The only
fill
problem
the
is that
fire
I
kiln.
fired a cone 5 and they kind of fired a cone 6, so like they can't put their stuff in my kilns, which is a bummer because like sometimes I
Oh,
could like throw
okay.
theirs in, But I throw the bisque in it when I can, their bisque stuff in when I can. So
Yeah.
But yeah, it's worked really well. Like our system has worked really well. And they like have a calendar and they put their thingies on the calendar. And so I'm like, okay, I know where to kind of take a break
Fit
and
it in, yeah.
yeah. So
Nice.
I'll just go balls to the walls when I get back on the 10th because there's like a huge show the 15th, the This Must Be It. And then after that's the coffee show. So
yeah, coffee.
Yeah.
Coffee and tea show.
Coffee and tea show.
Yeah, I had a show this past weekend. They had a great band. A couple
Lucky.
bands that were playing. It was great. And I was so good. It was like really windy and stuff in that area because it's just a large flat field, and then there's like a mansion or something, and then there's a
Yeah.
like courtyard area at the park where we have it. So the weather was perfect. I sold like 1,100 maybe. I sold
Nice.
there last year too. It was pretty good. So there's kind of a little like in between show between the big one that's this weekend. It's in Madison, Indiana. So that one, I've heard that one's a good show. And
Yeah.
we'll see. I'll be super prepared for that one, I think. And then hopefully we will be hustle bustling and be packing lots of pots. And then I'll be figuring out what I need to restock on when we get
Yeah.
back. So
Yeah. I'm like curious how my finances are going to go when I go out to Washington or to Colorado. I should probably, I don't know. I
is that
actually
trip
don't.
going to cover what you would need to make income wise for 2 weeks or 10 days?
No, but I like, if I had gone out just for the weekend, just work with who I'm going to work with, then it would be fine. But I've decided to kind of like take a break and like take a little vacation. So,
Mhm.
so,
You have a couple other consults while you're there besides the one?
potentially, I'm gonna meet out with a high school, Greeley High School. Um, one of the teachers out there wants me to come out, and they're gonna pay me, which is cool.
Oh, wow. To talk to their high school class?
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Don't
Yeah,
sugarcoat it. That'll be great.
yeah, and then
They'll love it.
we'll see if. And I was supposed to do I don't know.
Are you gonna see Liz while you're out there?
I hope so. I'm gonna text her. Also, I'm gonna see like, we're gonna have a dinner with some of the people out there. So
Sweet.
yeah, that'll be good. And yeah, it'll be good. I'll take some earrings or something. I'll make earrings while I'm out there. I'll like
Mm-hmm.
steal
Well, you're
some
not
of Liz's
driving, right?
clay.
You're flying, so
Yeah, I'm flying.
yeah.
But I can like take a container of clay. Like I can take like a pound of clay and it'll probably last me like a whole fucking week
That's
if I
true.
make
Yeah.
earrings or something.
Put them in a Tupperware container on your way back
Or
or
I
whatever.
could just not take anything and not work on anything. So that too.
Yeah, you could
Yeah.
do that too.
So we'll see. But my parents' hot tubs. Hell
Oh
yeah.
yeah. Hot tub, the swim tub.
The swim tub. I only go in the swim spot because the hot tub. I like to move around, but
It's probably pretty nice this time of year in Colorado,
it
right?
was 90 degrees yesterday, I think there. So
Well, you're going here in 2 weeks, right? So maybe it'll get better in 2 weeks.
yeah, I don't know. Um, but yeah, so excited about that. Let's see, Berthoud. It's 50 degrees in Berthoud right now, I guess.
And
Yeah,
it's
they're gonna
just
be in the
after dark
80s,
there, so
70s to 80s right now. The next couple days. So
okay.
yeah, that'll be good. I haven't flown in a long fucking time, so.
Yeah, the flight to Raleigh was I don't. We flew to St. George, Utah, and that was the last time. January. You drove. You didn't drive last year, did
I
you?
drove.
Oh, you
Mhm.
did.
I drove.
And you're driving again this time.
I'll drive this year. Hopefully, I have the van by then. Um, I don't know
Jeez.
when it's coming.
Hopefully
They
you don't
don't.
have to wait until this. You don't have to wait like your kiln.
I know.
Wait 9 months for freaking.
I think he said that he was like, I can't be definitive, but I would imagine no longer than 3 months, and that puts me like right in December.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, I'll probably just ride my lease out and just double up on payments. I was gonna end my lease early, but if that's the case, I might just ride my lease out, double up
could
on.
you end it like 3 months early instead of 6 months early?
Yeah. But I'll just throw a mattress in the back, you know,
Uh-huh.
no insulation, just kind of just like.
Oh yeah, because you're gonna have to build it out. Like, where are you gonna have the
Right,
tools and
like
the resources
because
to do all that?
January I'll be driving around. So if that's the case, I won't build it out before that. I'll just throw a mattress in the back, drive out to the West Coast, and do it that way. You know?
Yeah.
Super simple. So,
Yeah.
I've been looking at a lot of videos and I have a lot of ideas. And I don't know if I told you this, but I'm going to put a fucking studio in the back of my van.
A studio?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
So I'm getting the extended wheelbase. So it's 159-inch wheelbase, and then it's the extended version, so it's 14 inches longer. And the van is essentially what I could understand. It's like if you split it up into 3 sections behind the driver's seat, it's like 14 and a half feet, or not 14 and a half, 4.5, 4.5, 4.5. So 3 sections of 4.5 feet. So I figure I can make a shorter living space and then put a 4-foot studio in the back that's 4x6 because it's 6 feet wide.
4x6. I'm trying to think of how big my desk is here that I'm sitting at. The desk is 4 by, it's probably 3 foot, maybe 4 by 2.5. Okay.
So it's not going to be, and it'll be 4 feet wide, and then, but wait, if you think about it, the doors open, right, and they make an extension of walls, and so I'm going to figure out how to have a platform that I can just pull out and then put down on the ground, like put, joists down on the ground, so I can have an extended platform, so I could have an 8x6.
Yeah. I mean, really what you need is like wall of shelves, right? And then you need a tabletop area and like a seat.
Yeah, it's not going to be crazy.
And then whatever you need to store whatever stuff.
Like there's going to be a slat wall on one side, which I can put slat wall shelves on, and then a tabletop that I can put my portable wheel on, and probably another lifted shelves that I can put my computer on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then it's going to be walled off though. Somehow, I don't know if it's going to be a removable wall or whatever to the cab, because I don't want I don't want Clay to kind of like move over.
Oh yeah.
Into that space.
Because you're going to have your like kitchen space or whatever right next to that probably.
Yeah, the bed, but the bed, worse.
The bed's going to be between.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the bed will be kind of like against a wall.
Exactly.
The studio is going to be like enter from the back.
Yeah, but I'm going to put like a removable, like a slide partition. So it'll be able to be removed if it's like clean and stuff. But I don't want it to, I don't have any interest in.
Yeah.
And having Clay in the rest of the other part. No, thank you.
You think you don't have space? I got a 4x6 back of my vehicle.
Yeah. So.
Wow.
Lots of new things. Lots of.
Yeah, lots to experiment with and like build out for sure. Is it basically an empty tail end? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't even know if it has floors. Hopefully it doesn't. God, I hope it doesn't.
Like the plastic floor bottom.
Yeah. It'll just be easier if it's bare. I can't remember. I looked at the specs and nothing popped out at me, so it should be fine.
It's crazy how much it is just for like a bare bones.
It's ridiculous.
But it is like heavy duty metal and stuff, I guess. So it's like.
I guess. And it is like a 3500, so it is a 1 ton.
Well, you said extended wheelbase. Does that mean that it's got 2 wheels
No, it's got the regular 4 wheels, but then it's got, or it's not the extended wheelbase. It's just the extended. The wheelbase is normal. It's just the extended back, so it's 14 inches longer.
14 inches longer. Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Okay, we should probably talk about what we're supposed to talk about. It's like we're 34 minutes.
35 minutes in.
Yeah.
All right, we had a review we wanted to read that was fairly new.
I have it.
All right.
Okay, it is from Mostly Mugs, and it says it's 5-star. It says keep me coming back for more. The posting schedule of this podcast conveniently aligns with the day I normally work on pots, so it seems like I'm always listening to and looking forward to the latest episode of Wheel Talk. This podcast is a treasure trove of information for those like me who are trying to make a hobby or business working with clay. It is light and fun and easy to listen to. I also appreciate that they take time to answer listener questions and or respond to social media. On social media. Thanks, Ryan and Becca, for making my garage studio a little less boring. Mostly Mugs.
Nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think she just wrote me on Instagram a couple days ago, actually. So
yeah.
Kind of.
I also want to say that if you leave a review, I do believe it takes like a week or 2 weeks to get posted. Because I think she wrote this like way before it actually got posted.
Yeah. I mean, it said it was posted like early September, so a few weeks ago.
Well, I just remember when she told me that she did the review.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we were talking for some reason, and we were talking about something, and she wrote one, so.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for leaving that. We always like reading those. All right, so
also, if you're gonna leave a 1-star review, could you please tell us why? Like, could you actually leave a fucking review? We need something to laugh at. Kidding. Not really. But...
No, you're
not. Okay, what is our first question? We're gonna do just some questions today.
We have 3 listener questions that are fairly studio related, so be a little more hands-on technique kind of stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so the first question is from Anonymous. Have you tried attaching handles with vinegar or that magic water shit? I often develop a little hairline crack or it separates where I attach the handle to the bottom of the mug. No matter how careful, I score, slip, and let dry slowly. Have you ever used that?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Did it help? I don't know.
I don't know either. We had it in high school when I first started. It was in the like squirt bottles, and you could tell because it always said like vinegar and water or something, and it stunk like crazy. So
I have some in this squirt bottle. I use it for So fun fact, I found out that I was talking to Link, who owns Kentucky Mudworks, and I've been hand building with their Dark Star. Not a great clay to hand build with. and I was talking on the phone with her, and she's like, yeah, so I'm a thrower, and it's great to throw with. And then I make the clay, and everybody's like, this kind of sucks for hand building. And you're like, and she's like, okay.
What makes it bad to hand build with?
It's a little short. And the reason it's a little short is because it has less bentonite in it for faster throwing. So it's a great, like I said, great throwing clay. So it crackles. So I've been using a lot of vinegar to kind of like help with it not crackling. And I was talking to her. She's like, yeah, I would just use speckled B mix. And I was like, cool. I mean, like a bag of clay is going to last me like 15 years. So it'll be fine. But I still throw with Dark Star. But yeah, as far as the vinegar goes, I don't know if it even helps, but you can try. It doesn't hurt by any means. What I wouldn't do is put the vinegar behind a badge of any sort, because it tends to expand a little bit, and then like it needs to like air out a little bit, and it sometimes like pokes holes into the badges. Have you done?
I don't use it. I just used it in high school when we were doing the slip and scorn for handles and whatnot. From what the brief thing I just looked at, it was just saying it helps like break down the particles.
Okay.
Like the clay particles. So I mean, I think as long as you're scoring it enough, and then I usually just use actual slip. So maybe if you're not using slip, a vinegar and water might help break it down into a more slip consistency on both sides when you're
Yeah.
joining it
Yeah.
to kind of
Okay.
mesh it. But I
Here's
use slip as my like sticking them together kind of thing.
here's my suggestion for you, Anonymous. Since we don't know what your mugs look like, what I've had this issue a lot actually because my clay back in Washington was absolute shit. And and I um I would say what worked for me was to kind of work with it less, if that makes sense. Like when I put on the handle, if you can get away with it, like I always just punched on the bottom of the handle and I didn't like smooth it onto the mug. I just left it there so you could see the little like where it joined. Um Also I know this is like a really shitty like this is kind of shitty advice, but like if you can put the bottom of your handle high enough so that your glaze covers it, just fucking cover up that crack. Like that's like super
Yeah.
shitty advice, but it is almost like a lot of clays just crack no matter what. And like if you can cover it up with the glaze and you can't even tell, then it's no
Some of
issue.
my top attachments will subtly have a little
Yeah,
not crack,
it's
but
not
it like
a
it just like it doesn't have a nice smooth
yeah.
join. I wouldn't
Yeah.
call it a crack. It's just like separated a little bit, but the glaze does
Yeah.
fill that in right there at the top.
Right. Like the thing that I just found I think was the harder I tried, the more cracks I got. So I started trying a little bit less. And I think the vinegar can definitely help. Um like are you drying your mugs upside right or upside down? Maybe dry them a different way. Um like are you using porcelain? Are you using what kind of
Do you have
uh
a lot of airflow in your studio? Do you like
yeah.
what do you do after it's joined?
You could put some toilet paper into the slip. It'll just dissolve. That
Paper
might
clay.
help. So it's a little bit more like joiny. That might help. Uh, Funny story. When I do my earrings, I have to join them. They're wet, but I just lick them. Like
Yeah.
I'll roll out the coil and then I cut it and I just lick it and then stick it together. Because fun fact, if you didn't know this, magic water is your spit. Essentially, it's like the same components. So, using spit is basically the same as magic water. So if you feel like it's not attaching, just kind of like hock a loogie right on top of your
I used to do that with my handles back in the day. When I would
yeah.
attach handles, I would literally spit on every single one
Yeah,
instead of
nothing wrong with
and then I
that.
started using slip just because I got tired of like doing
That's
the
free magic water, readily available.
yeah.
So yeah, also maybe I used a stamp at the bottom of my mugs, bottom of the handle just to like push in the handle a little bit so it's really joined. That might help. Um,
I think
I
you
feel
just have
like
to be a little firm on your attachment, like, and if you're worried about being too firm at the bottom attachment, maybe it's because your mug body is too soft when you're attaching the handle.
mm-hmm.
Like, I usually take the clay that I use for the handle is right out of the bag, essentially. Um, you could always, what I've been doing lately is kind of batch making them so that I will slip and score all of the mug body. I'll do like 5 mug bodies, slip and score, and then I'll roll out 5 carats of clay, roll those
Yeah.
out, slip and score, and then I'll go through and you know put the slip on them, attach them, and
I
then go through and
wonder.
pull them. Like
I, yeah. I
the
wonder
subtlest
also.
amount of letting them dry might firm them up a little bit more.
Right. I wonder also, is it maybe too dry too when you're attaching? Like it could be from being too dry as well. Like maybe you need to attach your handle before you trim, and then trim afterwards.
Oh
Uh,
yeah,
that's a little tricky, but it's very doable. I used to trim after attaching handles all the time.
I think it can also be harder to join if your mug body is trimmed and it's burnished a little bit. Like, let's say you use a yellow rib or something to burnish the bottom, and you're trying to attach a mug handle to that. It kind of slides, like it's not going to grip as much. It's kind of like it's like the pores are like closed because
they're tighter.
It's been burnished versus being more open to moisture, you know?
Yeah. It's hard to like not have a definitive answer, you know, but it's like there could be so many things that you could do to change it. And sometimes it's just the fucking clay. Like when I was working with all those mugs in Washington, I literally couldn't do anything. Like it was just the clay. I had to count on the glaze to cover it up. Like I had done everything. Toilet paper, vinegar, I don't know, all the things. Prayer, threatening. Everything.
Yeah. I mean, I typically will, at a minimum, after I attach them, obviously I'll leave them out until the end of the attaching, and then I will usually put them in plastic if they are finicky and the mug body's a little drier, or you know, I'm running the risk and I'm getting a little like I will put it in a damp box at least overnight, maybe for a couple days.
Yeah, because like covering them might not be enough. Maybe putting them into a damp box would help just to rehydrate everything consistently.
Yeah.
You know, that might be helpful.
That would be the safest bet. Like if I'm worried about it, I will throw it in a damp box.
And then you can take it out and dry it as fast as you want. Like you can, once it's hydrated all evenly, you can just pull it out and
yeah. I mean, I feel like once it's to a point where the mug body is dried enough and the handle's dried enough, like if it's starting to crack, I feel like it's not something you're gonna like go back in and add moisture to fix.
Yeah. I've also heard of bisque fix too. You could do it at the bisque stage. I think that does work.
What is that exactly?
I don't know. I have no idea. I've never used it, but I think I know people that have. Bisque fix.
Bisque fix, yeah. I've heard of that too.
Yeah. So that's an option. A little bit more spendy option, but it's an option.
Okay. And then the Lindy actually sent one that was very similar to this that she sent us, Lindy Gardner Ceramics. How do you rehydrate mugs that have gotten past the moisture level to attach handles? So for me, simple answer. If it's too dry, I will literally take the mug and dunk it upside down in the water. And let it rehydrate. And if it's not hydrated enough, I'll give it another dunk. Same with the bottom. If the bottom's not dry enough, you can almost see every single time I attach my handles. When I attach at the top, before I attach to the bottom and I start pulling the handle, I will actually put a little water down there at the bottom where it's going to join.
Yeah.
Just to add a little bit more moisture. And you can always dunk the bottom of the mug in too.
Yeah.
To rehydrate. That's what I do. I don't know. Do you do anything different?
I haven't made mugs in a long time, but I typically do the same thing. Just dunk the whole mug.
Yeah. I don't really like the spray like I don't really want to have a board of pots and I just literally spray them.
Like, oh yeah. I've sprayed them too. I've definitely sprayed them too. Like, what I would recommend though is that if you do dunk your whole mug, don't put it back on its rim. Like don't set it back on its rim because the rim is the most fragile part. So it's gonna like disintegrate if it is really dry. I'm
usually dunking when it's like chocolate bar leather hard, where it's like a little stiff. But even at that point, it might be a little bit too fast.
If you have the time, you could also put them in a wet box, and that's a really good way to rehydrate. Like add a little bit more water to the plaster. That's what I did yesterday. I had some made bowls for a friend, and she was carving them. So, they were like dry at the rim, and I just threw them in the wet box. They were fine today. Nice. So, yeah.
All right.
That's what we do.
Yep. Keep it simple. All right, we got another one here from Tiny Cat Pottery. We've been putting this one off for a bit. Hey guys, I was wondering if you could touch on the best practices for studio waste. and glaze disposal. Is it safe to dump water I use to clean tools after glazing in the backyard? Should I be taking it to a hazardous waste recycling plant? Does it depend what's in the glaze for how you go about disposing of it? Thanks. Love the podcast. Keep up the sass. Also, happy belated birthday, Ryan.
Wow,
It
that
is
was
September 21st. That's
that
how long
was
we've put this off.
wow. um uh so good job us. Um so the we're not scientists nor are we tree huggers, but I can't see anything wrong with putting glaze chemicals out in the yard. They're all from the earth anyway.
I think it depends on what kind of coppers, like some of the raw materials like that are mined, I would be a little bit more weary of. Like heavy copper glazes or heavy, maybe not the red iron ones. I feel like the iron is
Iron's rock, right?
pretty common with like clay and stuff too, like heavy iron clays. Um, I mean, obviously, if you live near like water is gonna pass over it and run into a stream or something, like maybe
Don't do
don't.
that. Don't do that.
Um,
Um,
but if you literally have like a pile of stuff, I don't. I mean, I would be more likely to use it with. Would you? I feel like I'd let it dry out all the way first instead of just dumping it, but then I don't even know what I would like. Would it be better put it in a literal trash can versus dumping it in the yard?
if it was dried out, here's my suggestion. If you're really concerned about the environment, put a hole in your backyard where you like don't care about it. Put a fucking 5-gallon bucket in that hole. Drill a shit ton of holes in the bottom, or even hollow it out so that it, or like, and just dump all your leftover glaze stuff in there, and then it's only contained in that area.
Why would you put holes in the bucket then?
I don't know.
It's still gonna seep down into the ground.
Don't put holes in the bucket. I don't fucking care. But I'm always gonna throw it out in the backyard. I don't fucking care.
I mean the glaze stuff I make into mystery glaze. So
Yeah, I mean, like that stuff I'll make into mystery glaze. I'm not.
I
Gonna
would say
throw
do
out
that.
there.
I mean that's what they're saying. They're saying they clean tools after glazing. Do they dump the water? Like I just
Okay.
keep one 5-gallon bucket of water in my glaze studio, and I use that same bucket all the time, no matter how like messy-ish the bucket gets. Like it's got glaze material in it, so I will take off the clean water and then I'll make it into a mystery glaze with the sediment.
But what happens?
It's full enough.
What happens when it's like? I don't know. What happens when it's like there's too much of it? Like what happens
Like
if you
most
have
of these
like?
people are studio potters, though. How much are they literally producing?
Good point.
They're
Yeah.
producing enough that a 5-gallon bucket in their studio is taking up too much space. Would you? I mean, obviously, I'd rather be dumping clay in my backyard than dumping glaze materials in my
Yeah, I
backyard.
think you can. I think it's safe to say that you can dump clay in your backyard anytime. It's fine. Be fine with that. Can we say that?
I think that's fine.
Okay. I've never dumped glaze in my backyard because I've always reused it.
Or you literally put it up and say, "Hey, I have this. Does somebody want it?" Like,
yeah, like but I also wouldn't be totally opposed to dumping it in my backyard if I had to. I also want to pose another thing, another option. So if you got like a terracotta pot that was like big, and plug the hole up, you could dump the water out and just leave it in your yard, and the water will seep out, but it'll filter out the chemicals. So the water will come out, but the stuff on the inside won't. So that might be a good option too if you want like cleaner water.
and what do you do with the terracotta pot? There's just a bunch of glaze material in there.
Just throw it in the fucking trash. Like when it's dry.
Oh, so you're just drying out all the material.
Like if you wanted to like dry it out and like save it or not save it, but like save the universe, then
I mean, you could probably I mean, what would be the risk in making like having a crap bowl and putting big hunks of dry stuff in the bowl and firing it? It's gonna become glass, right? And then you just throw
That
that
is a
away.
very bad idea. Just put the dry stuff in the trash.
Don't risk your kiln to try and save, you know.
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah.
Yeah, if you if you went the long route of getting rid of its like you'd have to glaze a bunch of pieces with this crap glaze until the glaze was gone. I mean, a lot of places will have pickups once a year. Like we have hazardous material drop-offs like once a year. You go to this place and you drop off stuff.
Hazardous. Like, I'm not sure it's hazardous waste. Like, I've heard a lot of people say that like the glaze potteries, like the glaze water is fine for your garden even. Like because of the nutrients in the
I'm sure there's different metals that you probably don't want to be just dumping out.
I mean, maybe, yeah. I think that it's fair to say that both you and me, if we were posed with a problem, would just dump it out in your yard.
Yeah. I mean, first and foremost, I'm going to reuse it as much as possible because I do the mystery glaze thing. But I would dumping in the yard would not be the very last thing I would do. I don't know if that made sense.
Yeah.
I would dump it in the yard before I would go the route of trying to glaze 100 pieces with it just to get rid of it and then throw all those 100 pieces in the trash.
Okay, it says we don't know if this man is valid or anything, but I'm going to read the beginning of this thread. In my experience, trace of clay do not present a problem. Glazes, on the other hand, can be. Some of the chemicals which are in them can hurt them. I think they're talking about plants. Can hurt them, and some will just be absorbed into the plant. I know of someone who is living on a military base and had been growing vegetables on a vacant lot next to their housing. One day they noticed strangers taking soil samples of the vegetable garden. Several weeks later, they received a letter saying that they should not eat any of their vegetables they were growing and in the future should only plant flowers there. Plants absorb things just like people do.
Oh yeah. Don't dump it in your literal garden.
You know what? I also had a raku bowl that was glazed with this saturated copper matte glaze. I didn't like the way it turned out, and one day I decided to use it as a planter. It's porous, should work. Every plant I put in there got sickly and died.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like you should be doing that. Don't put it in things you're going to eat or things that you expect to thrive. I was thinking more like woods, but I mean, I literally live with woods behind me, but...
Yeah, it does say pouring these chemicals on the soil creates a danger for pets. Can create a danger for
wild
pets.
Animals.
Yeah.
Yeah, obviously it depends on what kind of land you live on too. Like, do you have a place to dump it?
Right.
Or is it literally going to be like 10 feet out your back door?
Yeah, like don't put it on your garden.
I hate to say it, but I would like offer it for free if it's like a big bucket of something that's like, I didn't like this. Dude, here's a test tile. If you want it, come get it.
Oh yeah, I've done that. People buy them.
Literally free glaze. Come get it.
Yeah.
Some of the chemicals I wouldn't worry about, but like the copper and the like lithium. Titanium. I don't know. Maybe not titaniums. I mean, some of the stuff like red iron oxide. Isn't that like rust, right?
I think so.
Like there's plenty of metals that literally rust and get rained on and they run into the ground. And
it does say that federal standards lists ways to dispose of chemicals. Read the list of chemicals in your glaze, and so there must be a federal standard list for chemicals and the way you dispose of them. So that might be something to look up. Also, I will say this, if you are throwing it away at the dump or in a trash can or something like that, it has to be the consistency of peanut butter. So you can't like just throw water into the dump. You have to let it absorb.
Throw in some cat litter or something.
Yeah, so it has to be like a peanut buttery-ish type consistency so it doesn't just all over the stuff. Because I threw away a lot of clay back in the day. I don't know. There's a lot of inconclusive data on this thread.
Probably because nobody has done enough studies on dumping ceramic materials.
Yeah.
Who's putting money into that?
Yes.
I'm curious what like big factories do, like East Fork Pottery or some of these big.
Yeah, that is a good question. It would be a good question to ask them, just to be like, hey, what do you do? Let us know. A lot of people are saying, please get the materials, the MSDS, material safety data sheet of the glazes. Every glaze has one that's made, like that you sell. So you can ask for it from the company and they are liable to have one. They legally have to have one. And then if you're making your own glaze, you basically have the material safety data sheet within your chemicals. But that is a good way to figure out what's in them and what's like how to dispose of them or whatever. I feel like we should just maybe just chalk this up with we don't know, but this is what we would do and we're terrible people for it. So I've never thrown glaze out.
I haven't either. I've always had to give it to somebody, but
I've always always turned into a mystery glaze.
Yeah. I have like at least a 5-gallon bucket of glaze that I need to do something with though that got accidentally mixed up like 2 years ago that I literally have not decided what to do with it. But yeah, like when I mix my next mystery glaze up, I might put a little bit of that in there.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, and like if you have a mystery glaze that's a little dark, throw some black stain in there and then you got a black glaze. Like, good, great, perfect, you know. Throw a little stain in there to see if it'll change. But yeah, like if you're washing all of your tools out, make sure you're washing clay tools in clay water, glaze tools in glaze water, and then it just sinks to the bottom. Take the top water off, and then mix it up when it's full. And then you have a nice sieve it out, and then you have a nice
throw through
glaze.
Got to do that soon with my next refill some mystery glaze. All right, do we want to do another one here? Do you want to read the next one?
Yeah.
This is like right up your alley, throwing.
This is right up my alley. Okay. It says, I have a throwing question. So I have a student who is having the hardest time pulling without pulling off lots of clay. What exactly is that caused by? Because she's got a good amount of water on her fingers, not too much or too little. She's moving slower than her wheel is turning, using the pads of her fingers rather than the tip. And she's got her fingers staggered. Most of the students I've taught who've had this problem, it was always because of using their fingertips, and it was fixed by using more of the pad of their fingers. But I'm wondering if that changed somehow else because of how much she's struggling with it. You have any ideas before I go in?
Well, she mentioned the speed. The speed was what I was going to go with, but she mentioned the water as well.
Well, she didn't really mention this. She did mention the speed, but I think she's stopping.
She's like stopping, waiting, and then she's like, okay, I got to keep going.
Yeah.
I think it also has to do with like the amount that the clay is. Like, I think when I pull, I kind of like keep two fingers kind of next to each other when I'm pushing. I'm not pushing with just one finger and letting the clay literally like bulge out right above it. I kind of
Is this your second pull or your first pull?
probably my second pull.
Okay.
I don't know. I feel like I just keep a couple fingers there, so it's more surface area than just one finger,
Yep.
and just kind of like keeping the clay kind of inward, so that I'm not like lifting like a tube or like lifting a coil up.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like kind of like lightly guiding it back up. I don't know. And I use a
Okay.
sponge, so
So I'm gonna go through. I don't
in
exactly
detail.
know what her problem is, but I'm about to go through like a whole bunch of shit. So if you want like a free lesson right now, pause this and get to
Is
your
this what
first fucking
is
pull.
this what you get into with the consulting when you
Yeah.
watch somebody do it?
Yeah. So this is what so pause yeah, pause it and get to your first pull. Like open up your base. Okay, so when you are doing there's two very different types of pulls, the first pull and the second pull, right? So our first pull is a compression pull, our second pull is a height pull. Your first pull, I'm assuming, is what she's having issues with. I'm not sure, but what I can say is this: it's not necessarily about the tips or the pads of your fingers as it is about the speed, the consistency, and the pressure that you're using. So on your first pull, your fingers actually should be together. They are not going to be offset a little bit. They're going to be together because this is a compression pull. So you're moving all the molecules to the space that you need to be at. So when you're pulling up, what you want to do is you want to be less aggressive on the bottom. You want to still get like your clay off the bottom. You want to be less aggressive on the bottom. You actually want to be more aggressive on the top so that your top inch and a half is thin, almost as thin as what you want the pot to be when it's finished. And the reason for that is because, especially if you're using anything more than a pound, you're going to be doing an aggressive second pull. And that second pull, if you're pulling up, you're going to just take off the top of the piece because you're too top heavy. If you're even walls all the way up on your first pull, that's great if you want to do 4 pulls. But if you want to do 2 to 3 pulls, then you want to have it thin at the top, thicker at the bottom. Okay, now I think with her, she's stopping. So the best way to teach how to do this is to show the rotation of the wheel and then show your progression up the side of the pot. And the easiest way to kind of relay it is say it's like a metronome. So every time you're going around, you're counting, and every time you're counting, you're continuing to move up. Um, if you really want to like watch her do a pull and you'll see if she stops, and if she stops, say move your hands, like get on her about like moving them up consistently instead of thinking about it and stopping. Then if she gets to her second pull, that's where she wants to have off-centered fingers, and your inside finger should be above your outside finger, and the higher and the more depth you have between those fingers, the more height you're going to get as you pull. So same with the first pull, you're going to be more aggressive on the bottom. Oh, actually, it's opposite. Sorry, I lied. It's opposite than the first pull. You want to be more aggressive on the bottom, less aggressive on the top, because our top is already to our thinness that we basically want it. So you're going to, you know, get as much clay from the bottom as you can. Then once you get to about maybe an inch and a half, maybe 2 inches, then you're going to let up a little bit, slow down a little bit, and keep moving your hands up. And then that should like center out your like, you know, make the right height and thickness. I really do think that it's her speed. And it probably is that she's not being like as like her first pull.
Like she's
She's
reluctant.
Yeah, and also don't be afraid to stop in the middle of a pull. Like she could have not enough water for her, you know? If you are drying up like as you're pulling because you're going maybe a little bit slower, stop, get some more water, and start right where you left.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's nothing wrong with that. I do it all the time. I don't know why teachers are telling you that like that's like a bad thing. Like fuck them.
If I like know that I don't have enough water, I usually will just kind of like let off, but like finish the pull. But I'm
Mm,
barely putting any pressure, just to like go through the motion instead of just stopping.
I stop, I get water, and then I just start up again, like where I left off. But yeah, I think that it's probably the yeah, and is her wheel moving too fast? Is it moving too slow? A lot of people move too fast, especially if they're making bowls, by the way. Um, like their wheel might be going too fast. You really have to find that like even keel of like how fast you're pulling versus how fast your wheel's turning. But she knows that. Oh, this is passionate arts and crafts, by the way. Um, but yes. Also, if she has to throw with a sponge, fucking let her. Like maybe a sponge is what needs to help her be a little bit more like I think of a sponge as a safety blanket, and I use it when I use them when I do larger things. It's absolutely okay to use a sponge if you want to. That's fine. If you don't, also fine. But it might help to use a sponge on the outside.
Yeah.
But definitely, like it could be from squeezing too hard, not moving up fast, like not moving at all, you know, letting it just like kind of hold there. But you need to squeeze a little bit harder on the top than the bottom on your first pull, especially.
Hmm.
But beginners, I never expect them to get like that second pull really. Um, that's usually for a later scenario.
Yeah, it seems like the first pull, you're really getting the height, and like the part that's moving the most is obviously the wall, but you're like firming up the top half of it.
Mm,
And the second pull, you're firming up the bottom half of it for the most part. You're not really
mm-hmm.
moving a ton of clay up from the top, from the half up. And the
Right.
last one, you're kind of moving up the bottom third mostly, or like
Yeah.
shaping.
Yeah. Shaping.
So you're
Yeah,
kind of like
for
moving
sure.
back, moving in reverse.
Yeah, like reverse of what you would think. I like the first if on your first pull, if your pot is a half an inch to a quarter 3/4 of an inch thick on the top, that's too thick. Like it needs to be like half to less than a half. In my opinion. Just because it will help you as you get higher.
If you're making like a mug.
Yeah, if you're making a mug or what have you, yeah.
Yeah.
A bowl might be a little bit different, but
Yeah.
honestly, you know what I always thought when I was younger is that bowls are the easy thing. No. Bowls are intermediate. Bowls are fucking intermediate.
Well, I think there's a few different ways to like make them. Like
Yeah.
you could like make a first pull and leave it a little thicker at the top because you're gonna like belly it out and you're gonna need more of
That's what I do. Yeah,
that
that's what I do.
thickness to spread the diameter you want. So, or you could
Well, yeah,
like,
that's why I'm saying they're intermediate because there's like
yeah,
so much involved in throwing a bowl correctly and
yeah,
like well, you know. And like at the beginning you're like that's the only thing you throw because you can't figure out how to throw a fucking cylinder.
uh-huh.
And so you're like, "Oh yeah, I can throw bowls." No, you can't.
When I first learned to throw bowls in high school, I would throw a cylinder and then they would teach us to like bevel the top edge so it was like outward,
That's what I teach.
and then you kind of I think they told us to start from the middle and work our way
Middle.
up
Yep.
with a wooden rib until you met that bevel,
Mhm.
and then lay it down and then do it again.
That's good that I'm not the only one that teaches that. I've never seen anybody teach that, but that's how I teach them too.
Yeah,
But I don't teach with a rib. I just teach with a sponge, but same.
yeah. But
That
yeah,
bevel
it's more
out really
focused
does
on
help.
working inside instead of like using your hands on the outside to say, well, you need to put the pressure pushing outward from the
Yeah.
inside. It's more like just,
Like the
let the rib
biggest thing
do
that
the
I've
shape.
found, especially when directing people to make bowls, is that on the last shaping pull or push, I guess, if you use a sponge and you start in the very middle of your base and push down and out, but specifically down and out, like you're gonna get a lot nicer of a belly on the bottom, as opposed to just pushing out and starting like 3 inches from the base, middle base, you know? like
Oh
the
yeah,
center point.
yeah.
Like you have to push down. And that's what like never really registered in my brain. Like to teach at least. Like no, that pressure, and it doesn't make any sense. The pressure needs to be down, and that's what like really pushes it out and like to make this beautiful nice like curve,
Yeah.
you know.
And I've seen you do it, but like remove a little bit of clay before you do your
Hmm.
third
Before you do your last
motion.
shaping pull, remove a little bit of clay on the bottom, unless you're doing wide bowls. And if you're doing wide bowls, don't remove that clay, and use that clay to extend your bottom, like the base.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. If y'all like that instruction, somebody does consults.
Right?
And it is not me.
It would be interesting to see if I could do like a verbal, just like well, I mean, I kind of did just do a verbal like teaching thing, but it would be, I've always kind of wanted to like take a shape or like take throwing and just like do it, like do a verbal
I think it
lesson.
would I think it'd be kind of cool to vary it. Like maybe you do one, here's how you could do it if you are generally a faster worker. Like if
Yeah.
your wheel speed's faster, or if you're a heavy water user, here's how you should do it. Or if you're a slow wheel speed, or if
Yeah.
you change speeds throughout.
Yeah. Well, I would say this. There's a lot of people that have heavy, fast wheels, like they do fast wheel throwing, and they shouldn't be. Like they're going too fast. That's the reason why they aren't being successful, if they're not successful. Um, Sometimes you just gotta slow the fuck down. Like slow your fucking wheel down.
Mhm.
Um, like sometimes that's just what it needs to happen, especially when you're throwing bowls. Like when you're throwing a bowl, you're literally moving the clay outward. If you go fast, it's just gonna keep going out. like,
Yeah.
like,
You have to have pretty great control to
yeah,
be able to keep that clay where you want it to be.
yeah. But yeah, I'm like, no, 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 slower, slower, slower. Like that's what usually happens in the consults. Slower, slower, slower,
We're
slower.
being efficient here. We're not being fast. We're being efficient.
Efficient. Yeah. I did find out though with intermediate people, I think I'm gonna start doing half-hour consultations because like
An hour's too long.
an hour's too long. Because we're talking about the smallest changes. Like
Uh-huh.
I did one with I'll ask her if this is okay afterwards. But I did one with Ashley Ball, and
Mhm.
I was like, I don't think we should do an hour. I basically told her, I was like, you don't need one. like, like you probably don't need a consultation, but we'll do one anyway. And I was like, as long as it takes, I'll just refund the money back, you know.
You need to do
But
like a 30-minute one, but like I feel like the tips you're gonna have for an intermediate is they're probably gonna see the value in it way more.
right. Yeah,
So
like
like you
so
could change it.
it did end up being only 30 minutes, and but I helped her change like a few things, and she texted, like she messaged me like an hour later. She was like, I cut off a minute of my time. So
Yeah.
like it's very substantial, but it's just really quick. It's like, okay, you've showed me that you've thrown once, and I'm like, you need to do this, 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 and this.
Yeah.
That's it.
So if you did 30 minutes, maybe you just price it like $40 for 30 minutes or $60 for 60 minutes.
Yeah. Well,
Like
I was thinking
it's still beneficial, but it makes more sense for them to pay for an hour if they
I
want it.
think what would make sense for an immediate actually, instead of just one 30-minute one, is to do two 30-minute ones once like a month apart so that you can
Oh yeah.
talk about what you've been doing and then kind of like
Oh,
go
little
from there.
subscription service consult.
Yeah. Yeah.
Nice. I like
Because it's
that.
like, yeah, you can help somebody to get to an intermediate level, but once they've like, then you're gonna have to practice to get to intermediate, and then once you get to that point, then it's
Plus
like,
they could
okay,
throw other forms too and say like I need help with this form
yeah,
that might take 15 minutes.
right, yeah. So that's kind of where I'm at. It was good to finally do one with somebody who was like at that level, so that it was like, okay, I don't need to tell you how to do your first pull. I don't need to tell you how to do your second pull. I just need to tell you to be more aggressive on that second pull, and to, like, so that was a nice moment.
Yeah, it's probably nice to just like watch people throw, and you're
It's
just like
wonderful.
objectively like, all right, let's see what we can do here, and then let's see what we can do here.
I mean, that literally is what like I live for. Like, I
Yeah.
love it. I love it, and it's like so satisfying when they get it, when the light clicks on, or like when you do something and they're like, I just can't get this, and I'm like, oh, that's why. And then it like totally goes into, it's just so freaking rewarding to like see people
Yeah.
succeed.
Yeah, well, yeah. Plus, it's like it's vulnerable for having someone to watch you make to throw, like especially when you're at a level where it's like I've been making on my own for years, and I work in my own studio, like nobody sees
Yeah.
me work, and there's nobody that's gonna objectively tell me something. So you almost have
Yeah.
to pay for somebody to tell you something so that you can improve.
Oh, for sure. And everybody's always like, I'm so nervous. And I'm like, please don't be freaking nervous. Like, I'm gonna make jokes and I'm gonna make you feel super comfortable. Like, you're fine. Like,
And there's a lot of people that you might know as like friends and stuff that you know what their end result pieces look like,
yeah,
but you don't know how they got to that end
right,
result. You don't know how they make it. You don't know how efficient they are.
right,
You don't know if they're an expert in like efficiency of throwing or they throw really well
yeah,
or if they just trim a lot off and they end up with a good pot in the end.
right.
But
Oh,
I think these days you can see a lot of people's process more and more
mm-hmm.
with Instagram. So, okay. Yeah,
For
I know Erica's
sure.
looking forward to your
I'm looking
visit.
forward to it. It's gonna be so much fun. I haven't done, well, it's gonna be after. I honestly like doing them online has been so much easier than doing consultations in person. Um,
Yeah, you don't have to spend time to drive to and from. Like,
No, it's not even that. I'm doing one in person tomorrow, and I'm glad because I'm going on the first to do lessons in person as well. But like, it's so easy for me to just watch and just be like, this is what you need to do, and it gives them, there's no handicap for them. I'm not there to like put their hands somewhere. They have to figure it out on their own. So it's like almost
oh,
easier to teach them over the internet than it is what I remember teaching in person. So it'll be interesting to like go tomorrow and do that. So
nice. Yeah, and you
I'm,
can tell them like,
yeah,
"Hey, I'm gonna talk you through what to do. I'm
and
not
that's what I
gonna
do.
physically push you to push harder."
Yeah.
Like,
The only thing that's hard is centering. Like the only thing that I'm really having a struggle with is like telling somebody how to center better. Like,
mm,
you need to put your whole body's weight on this, please. No
yeah,
more.
and like, how close are you? Where are you?
How
Where
much
is
clay
your
is that?
weight
How
right now?
stiff is it?
Like, is
How
your
old is
butt
it?
lightly off the seat so you're like, you know,
Yeah, that's the only hard part. I think that's my only requirement. You need to know how to center. Like,
yeah.
so,
There's plenty of room to go from there once you know how to center.
yeah.
Okay, sweet. All right, do we want to go to this last one here?
Oh, yeah. I thought we were done.
All right, there's one more that is kiln related. Ryan and Becca, I had a question for you. I have had my eyes set on a Scut KM kiln and have been saving up. A friend recently mentioned that they are looking to sell their Crest manual kiln they had bought refurbished from a reputable place. I'm nervous about a kiln sitter setup, but excited to pay 1/5 less than I was planning to for a kiln. Are there any downsides to starting with a kiln sitter setup? A underscore niche underscore insta.
I always recommend starting with a kiln setter setup.
Yeah, I mean, for one, the price is great. I mean, you're going to get so much more value out of learning what you're doing
Yeah.
with maintaining a kiln.
I
and
don't know.
just
It's almost like buying a beat up car, like your very first car being like an absolute beater. Like it's like you have so much more appreciation for kilns
I feel like you do
afterwards.
that because you're gonna wreck the son of a bitch within the first couple of years.
That too, but but like I don't know. I love kiln sitters. I almost wish that I had a kiln sitter because they're like almost fail safe. I do obviously love the controller, and there's always an option of getting a controller, an external controller that plugs into it. I don't
Mhm.
know where you are, but in Washington they sell them. I don't know if anybody else sells them, honestly. Um, but yeah, I definitely do not shy away from a kiln setter. Like
Yeah,
it
I
fires
think
the
it's a
same almost.
yeah. Would you say does it make any difference if you are, depending on what situation you're in? Let's say you're strictly hobbyist, like you don't care about making it a long-term thing. Um, or what factors would keep you from the kiln setter? I guess if you had money to spend and you didn't care, you literally
Yeah.
wanted to go with the easiest option that is going to work for you with the least amount of headache.
hmm Yeah, the thing about a kiln sitter is that you have to go and manually turn it up. That's the biggest thing. Is that, you just have if you're like an on the go type person all the time, we're not telling you that you should leave your kiln unattended, but if you're an on the go type person or like the only time you can fire is in the middle of the night, um maybe don't get a kiln sitter. But it does take, every 2 hours. It's just like having a baby. Every 2 hours, you got to go out and turn the
Hmm.
knobs. So that is one thing. If you have to hold for some reason, that's kind of difficult to know when that
Yeah.
happens. But it does kind of teach you to be like super simple with your glazes when you say like
Like your glaze application and stuff, or
no, but just
just
like basic firing, where it's like I don't need a super long hold. I don't need, you know,
yeah. I mean, ultimately, you just need to get that cone to bend, and that's it.
and that's it. Like, and
So,
if your glaze doesn't work with that, then you're like, well, I'll just fix the glaze.
I
And
mean,
that is nice for later on.
I
Makes it super
mean,
simple.
the one downside is you do have to put in some work to like understand what's going on with the kiln, because if there are issues with like elements going out, or like this is where witness cones help.
Yeah.
You don't have a controller that's going to tell you, hey, there was an error, and then you can look up what that error
Right.
was, and it tells you exactly what to do. Or you
Yeah,
can
and
call
you
up a number and say, all right, what's going on with my kiln? Like,
and you need to like this is one of those things where if you get the kiln sitter, which we are recommending you do, um, if you get the kiln sitter, fill it up with shelves and stilts, no pieces, fire it. I would do a firing in a bisque schedule and I would do a firing in a glaze schedule and time it and see how long those take, just like an empty one, just to see, just so that you have a standard for what you're dealing with. Because you're right, there is nothing that like tells you something's wrong. Like your kiln could be going for 15 hours when it should be going for 9 and you have no idea,
yeah,
unless you go down and check frequently. But
you don't
that's
know. You just keep going, and you're like, well,
yeah.
that thing's got to bend at some point, but
At some
it could
point,
be that
like,
an element's out and the other ones are overcompensating for it.
or it could be that your stilt got stuck. The cone
Yeah.
got stuck in the
And
kiln setter.
everything's melting
Like,
inside because you don't know
yeah,
why
and
it's
like
not going off.
this is also another reason to make sure that you have your witness cones in eyesight, of the peephole. That's why peepholes exist, to have the witness cones in eyesight so that when it drops, that's your safety net. And like,
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, honestly, it can teach you so much. And it's like the perfect starter kiln, in my opinion.
Even if you're like, okay, I'm going to do this for the long term, and like, I still think you need to know those basics of a kiln and firing and loading.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, now I know how to load this kiln. I know what kiln stilt heights I like. You know,
Yeah.
I know how to take care of my shelves. Like kiln, I know what kiln wash is and why to do that, because if if you ruin a small kiln shelf from a kiln sitter, it's probably a lot cheaper than ruining a big kiln shelf that's, a 25-inch shelf or 22-inch shelf.
Well, I mean, I've had 10 cubic foot kiln sitter kilns, so, but
oh yeah.
Yeah, but also remember, you can always get an electronic attachment later if you find that like going out every 2 hours, and those ones, it's the box, the Bartlett box, and you just plug it into the side of the box, and then you put a thermocouple into the kiln, and that
what plugs into the box? Because you have the elements.
The cord plugs in. So like
it plugs in the wall.
No. The cord plugs into the box, and then the box plugs into the wall.
What cord plugs into the box?
The kiln cord plugs into the box.
The power cord?
The power cord plugs into the box.
Okay.
Yes. And then the box has another power cord, and then it's plugged into the wall. And so then there is a thermocouple that goes into the kiln that's connected to the box. And then the box.
Bartlett box.
Yes. And you put on the kiln at high all the time, and it just regulates itself.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So the power going to the Bartlett just determines how much power to put through the element? Okay. That's what I was wondering. I was like, how do you connect the box element wires to the elements themselves on the rings? So that's how.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's always on high, and that's how elements are. They're always on high. They just turn off and on at a certain rate. So.
Wait. I thought when you changed the knobs, that just changed the amount of. So you're saying on a manual kiln, when you turn the knob to low, it's still like the same amount of power going through the element as when it's on high?
Yeah. It's okay.
I thought it had less power going through it when it's on low.
No. It's the same, if I understand correctly, it's the same amount of power that's going through. It's just turning on and off slower. So it's like it'll turn on really quick and turn off, and then it'll wait, and then it'll turn on really quick and then turn off, and then it'll wait. And then on medium, it's like on, off, wait, on, off, wait, and then on high, it's on. Like.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So it's the knobs are really communicating more with like the relay.
Yeah.
Than it is the power.
Correct.
Oh, okay.
That's why they're such simple. That's why they're such simple machines. They're always on high. The relay's the only thing that's really changing anything.
And you can hear that with even an electronic controller. You can hear when it's like
clicking on and off. Yeah.
Powers clicking on and off, and that's the okay. Huh. I just learned something. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Okay. Plus, I feel like it's nice to upgrade, like over time, and then you can pass on your kiln to somebody else that is up and coming and figuring things out.
Yeah. Who needs a brand new kiln? Get a brand new kiln after you've done it for like 10 years.
I mean, some people have had used kilns and they're like, I've literally never changed my elements. I'm terrified of it. I don't know what to do. I'm going to break something. But if you're going to break something with the manual kiln sitter kiln.
Yeah, it's so easy to fix.
But yeah, I'm like, figure it out. Like, you can do this. It's not that difficult.
No.
I don't know how much it costs to have somebody come replace your elements for you or like diagnose a kiln for you, but I'm sure it's not cheap.
Yeah. Yeah. Just do it regular, and then just get the fucking kiln setter. It's going to be a great kiln. I think they can be more reliable than electric kilns. Like old electric kilns. New electric kilns, fine. But
plus there's a big market out there with old kilns. Like people get into it and they forget about it and they have them piled up and they literally give them to you for free.
Also, it's a Crest, which is a pretty good brand. I would shy away from Crucible typically.
That's a really old one.
Yeah, Crucible's really old.
I feel like you'll see some Crests out there. You'll see some Paragons out there, some Duncans.
I mean, obviously make sure the temp is high enough too. Like, did you see my Fucking Val. Val like texted me and she's like, "This kiln is across the street for $300. Should I get it?" And I was like, "Well, what's the temp on the side?" And she's like, "It looks immaculate inside." I was like, "Well, what's the temp?" It was cone 1.
Cone 1?
Yeah, and I was like, "Abort, abort, abort."
I saw that. That was Val.
Yeah. I was like, "Get out now."
Don't even look at it. They're gonna used car salesman you into this
Yeah.
kiln. Don't worry about the 1. It's a 10. The 0 fell off of it somewhere. I don't know.
Oof. Yeah.
Kilns that are kilns. Got to get on it.
I
How
love kiln sitters.
How much do the electronic controller attachments like cost?
It was expensive. It was like $400.
Is that worth getting that over
That was years
upgrading the
ago.
kiln?
Years ago. Honestly, those kilns worked for me for years after that. Years.
Okay. So it's worth the investment to get the controller
Yeah.
versus actually paying for an all-new kiln if you are still good with the amount of space you have in it.
And what's great about the controller is that if you get 2 kilns that are the same amperage, you can just move the thermocouple from one kiln to the next. So like, I would fire my Crest kiln. I think it was a Crest. I would fire the Crest, and it would get up to temp, all as well. Oh, also what I like about having the electronic and the kiln sitter is that it has that safety guard of the kiln sitter. So I would always put a 7 cone in there so that if it did hit cone 7, it just dropped and stopped. I would always fire I'd fire the Crest, and then it would get to temp, all was well, and then I'd unplug it, plug my other one in, and then and then put the thermocouple in, just like move it over to the other kiln, and boom.
Did you have to just drill a hole for the thermocouple?
Yeah, it's easy.
Yeah.
And there's pretty much always a hole on the back side of the kiln sitter, of any kiln, but the kiln sitter kilns, there's always like a tiny little hole in the metal. And that's where your thermocouple goes. It's usually in the middle, about 2 feet away from the controller panel on the right side. Yeah, so yeah, that was really nice. It was great to have that. And yeah.
Plus it'll usually, I think usually you'll use less amps too. I feel like you might get a smaller kiln. It won't use as many amps with the plug and stuff.
Yeah.
And the wire that you need to hook it up. But then if you do upgrade, you might need to update the wiring for your if you get a new kiln.
Also, I will say that controller box completely saved my ass. Like, it saved my house from burning down. Because the kiln that I had was on wheels, and I would normally turn it, and I forgot to turn it that one time, and the wire was touching the kiln, and it melted, and it shorted out the box and turned off my power, and it melted to the box. And if it had melted to my plug, it would have been a hell of a lot worse. Could have caused way more problems, but it melted to the box instead of melting to the plug, and the box shorted out. So, and it was an easy fix too. I fixed the box, no problem. So.
Wow. Interesting. Yeah, I would never even think about getting a controller. But I'll use those kilns until their legs fall off, and then I'll stumble upon a good deal, and that's when I would upgrade.
Yeah.
I feel like you always kind of got to be looking. Like, if you even have an inkling of interest in seeing, you need to start looking. I feel like when you get to that desperation point where I need to get one, I need to pay full price for one.
Yeah.
When I was looking for kilns, I'd look for 3 or 4 months, even when I wasn't even in the market for it. I would just look.
Yeah.
Marketplace, Craigslist, you could find them out there.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else today?
I don't think so.
A lot of studio stuff.
Oh, well, this will come out after last week's episode, but Pot Swap sign up is, I forgot the dates already.
I was like, do you have the documents up?
No. Pot Swap sign up is
Signups will start to the public
on October 16th
at 12 p.m. Eastern time.
Yep. October 16th, 12 p.m. Eastern time. That should be late afternoon in Europe and like 9 o'clock on the West Coast. So that should be good for everybody.
And for those of you that participated in last year, we've already told you all this in the past, but if you participate the previous year, you will get an email directly to you.
Yeah, a couple days before.
2 days before. And it'll be like, hey, pot swap time, sign up. So
yep,
that's your benefit. If you do it, you get in first.
Yep.
We're going to have 1,000 people in this year.
Oh, yeah. Gonna be good.
4 digits.
4 digits.
5-year anniversary, 1,000.
Oh my goodness.
I'm excited for it. I was dreading it, but now that we've talked about it in the timeline and stuff, I'm not as...
Well, it's a lot easier. Last year we set it up so well to just like go.
Yeah, we know.
But I will say that this year I'm a little bit like apprehensive. Like I don't really want to get anything.
Because you're getting rid of stuff?
Yeah. I want to give, but I don't want to get anything. So I don't know how to.
So I need to pick a good person that will send you something good?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Because, like, I'm going to be moving into a van.
You liked what you got last year. I can't remember what it was, but...
Oh, yeah. I got the mug with the goose on it.
Oh, yeah. Fledgling Studios?
Yeah. Yeah, that was great. Who'd you get last year?
Ceramics by Jenny.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
She wrote me a very nice note.
Oh.
I kept it. It's in my studio.
Oh, that's cute. Yeah. I know. It's like I want to do all the things, but I don't really need the thing. So maybe I can send a note to my person, or you could send a note to my person and say, hey, you're going to make this for Becca, but she's going to give it to somebody as a gift.
Oh, like you're going to get the pot, but you're going to gift it?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are you going to give it to? Me?
I don't know. Somebody who needs it more than us. I don't know.
Okay.
I'll figure it out. Maybe I'll just take the pot.
I feel like there's like an option out there to do like a letter swap in a different time than pot swap. Like literally just like swap a letter, like write a letter or something.
Like a pen pal situation?
But it's just random, right? You're just like, I don't know. I mean, that's part of what you include. You include your little story and journey and stuff in there.
Yeah.
I don't know. Do you get letters these days? I feel like it's kind of exciting when you get something that's... I mean, I get excited when the only letters I get nowadays that I'm excited about are like checks from galleries. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting this. I got a check today. Woo.
So my friend Jen in California, the only non-potter that listens to this podcast, other than your mom, she sends me postcards from every single place that they go. And she's done this for years. So she's big on like postcards and letters.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. I don't even know that I know people's addresses though to send like a random letter, you know?
Yeah. I don't know.
Then it's like not a surprise.
Sorry that I just made everybody yawn. Okay, we should go because, well, I took a nap before this, but I'm still tired.
Yeah, I gotta get that kiln finished and get that
Yeah.
fire going.
And I gotta upload our podcast from last week. So.
Yep. All right. Thanks everybody for
Sweet.
listening, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
All right. Bye.
Okay.